On this week's episode of Talk is Cheap, we're going to be discussing some really great stuff. Alien spaceships, 2.5 light years away from Earth, hiding in our very own constellations. We're going to take a look at the Black Knight satellite, something that might have been around for quite a while. And pyramids on the moon, and now on the planet Ceres. Stay tuned. It's all on Talk is Cheap. Episode of Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap. With us tonight, as always, to my left is Dan Hohlfeld.
You know, buddy.
To my right, Dustin Long.
How you doing?
My name is Peter Halbleib. I'm joining these gentlemen for this episode this evening. I hope you enjoy it. The first thing we're going to talk about tonight is I think something that we're all familiar with, and it's something called the Black Knight satellite. Okay, for those that may not know, this is supposedly a satellite that has been orbiting the planet, some say for almost 13,000 years. Basically, when Sputnik was launched, that's the first satellite that we launched, everybody started looking to the sky and they found something else up there. So I've got a short video here for us to take a quick look at, and then we'll talk about it.
That's two babies.
Is an ancient alien satellite orbiting Earth. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. Earth's orbit is crowded. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first man-made satellite. This technology grew from a top-secret tool of espionage to an irreplaceable piece of modern life. Everything from TV signals to driving directions can come from these gizmos hurtling through space. Yet, despite their popularity, satellites remain shrouded in secrecy. As of 2008, the U.S. Air Force estimated that about 10,000 known objects orbit Earth. Estimates of active satellites can range from 1,000 to 3,000 or more, and that's just counting the acknowledged ones. Sputnik may have been the first man-made satellite, but what if there was something else up there already? Here's where it gets crazy. Enter the legend of the Black Knight satellite. The story goes like this. In 1899, Nikola Tesla picked up repeating radio signals which he believed came from an intelligent source in space. Ham radio operators also picked up the signals, and Norwegian scientists began picking up LDE, or long-delay echoes, during experiments with radio waves in 1928. Newspapers reported a dark satellite in 1954. Shortly after the launch of Sputnik, US and Soviet forces detected a satellite in polar orbit, but neither side knew where this satellite came from. The story hit the papers in 1960. Fast forward to 1973, when an author named Duncan Lunin analyzed the LDE data from Norway. Lunin originally claimed this data showed a 12,600-year-old invitation from Epsilon Brutus. In 1998, astronauts aboard the Endeavour reputedly took photographs of an unknown object. Today, these photographs are available on NASA's website. That's how the story goes, but there are problems with the legend. First, while Tesla did find radio signals, they probably came from pulsars. Secondly, Duncan Lunin didn't have the Black Knight or any satellite in mind when analyzing the LDE data, and he later retracted his initial claims. So what exactly is this thing? Here's one theory.
Looks like a hunk of junk.
Claimed the object was a lost casing from part of the Discoverer satellite program. It sounds mundane, but there's more. In 1992, the CIA declassified the real story behind Discoverer, a spy program known as Corona. The Corona satellites were deployed in polar orbit because they'd cover every part of the Earth. This secrecy could explain why the Air Force and NASA didn't speak up earlier. Still, many people don't think the discoverer explanation is sufficient, and who can blame them? World governments don't exactly have an impressive record when it comes to transparency in space. Consider the United States X-37B orbital test vehicle, an unmanned
This is
shuttle
going on
whose
secret
mission is
tests right now.
classified. While stories of ancient alien satellites may not hold up to scrutiny, there's no secret that Earth's orbit is chock full of stuff world governments don't want you to know.
This is the satellite.
All right.
So, in summary, this is basically just a satellite that the government sent up there? Is that, or has this been up there quite a while?
Well, some folks think, you can get out there that it's been up there for 13,000 years. Okay. Now, that's based on the gentleman that did the translation of this radio signal that later retracted it. Okay, that's a whole discussion right there. Later retracted it. There's lots of ways you can influence people into retracting something. But some people allege that this is a satellite that had been monitoring the Earth long before we ever got the technology. Because if you noticed, they talked about in 1954 picking up these radio signals, okay? It was multiple people, newspapers reported on it at the time, and it wasn't until 1957 when Sputnik was launched that both United States and Russia started looking up around, what's in orbit, and picked this up, okay? So at the time they said, we don't know what it is. And now, the video, it was, what I liked about that video is it told some stuff about it, and then it kind of had some counterpoints in it. So it gives us things to think about. Well, then they come back and say, well, it was probably just a secret satellite that we had at the time and we weren't going to tell anybody about it. Okay, so at a time when, Russia was, and the United States both were, it was the space race.
Yep.
Had a struggling time. Not only did were able to get a secret satellite up there at or earlier than Sputnik, but we started to put it in a polar orbit instead of an equatorial orbit. There's a lot of questions, and there is a chance that could be true, but I find it very interesting that this other gentleman that did the translations, and Nikola Tesla is not a slouch, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we will agree that he was one of the most brilliant minds this planet's ever seen. He's not a slouch, and so I don't think that, I think he would be able to detect pulsars, but maybe not. I'm not a scientist. I don't detect pulsars for a living or anything like that. So there could be some explanations there. One thing I wanted to mention is the photos that you see, because that was from, I believe it was 1988, they said. That, there's some unidentified something, they took a picture, and you even made a comment, said it looks like space junk.
Yeah.
Totally could be, okay? So I don't want to confuse that photo, and I'm not necessarily saying that photo shows it, because, they didn't say that was in a polar orbit, and this is the object that we've been looking for or been tracking. So to look at that, I can say, okay, I agree, there's a lot of junk floating around in 1988 now, that could be, but let's not lose sight of the fact that from, 1900, when Tesla and this other Norwegian dude or whatever started saying, we're getting radio signals from space, and oh, by the way, it's in enough of a pattern that I'm developing something, and then go as far as to say it's a message from 12,000 years ago saying this is where we live.
Yep.
Okay, there's so much.
Wait,
again,
there was a message?
Yeah, that the guy had translated this message that he.
And what did it say?
Basically, that we're this civilization and we live in this star system of whatever, it escapes me now. What he said on there, but we can throw certain pieces of this story and okay, all right, that's not that good. But there was many, many years going on in there by scientists, top scientists, that this one pulled a pattern out and was able to translate. And of course, they're crazy people, and people can come up with stuff. But for him to find enough of a pattern that he could translate and get something out of it is crazy. It's like so coincidental.
And I love this topic. I really do. I've done a lot of research on this. And
so what's your take on it?
Well, to be honest, every time they take a picture of the damn thing or show a picture of it, it's changed the shape. You ever notice there's not... Every picture they show it's at a different angle. It looks something different. Some people in NASA said it was a seat. Then they have the the debris from one of the rocket launches and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
and a wind sail or something. A solar wind sail. They said.
now, see, what I like about this is, since I believe that we were once involved more so than we are now, if it's that old, maybe it's a remnant of something that was left out there, or maybe it was a ship that didn't make it. If everyone left, there was a huge hiatus or exodus from planet Earth. I really don't know. What I do know is that after all my research, it's very, very awkward. It looks to be very old because they've said it and whatnot, and it's in that polar orbit, like you said, which covers all of the Earth. It's not elliptical. It's not covering just the major hazards.
Over America.
Yep. So this is a polar orbit, which they use for spy satellites. Why do they use it for spy satellites? Because you can see every bit of the Earth. So if it was left there maybe by an intelligent species that wanted to monitor us, like ants, like we have said in the past, or something, that'd be a perfect place to do it. I mean, for all we know, instead of that guy could have done that research and said, "Here, this is where we're at." That could just be where it's going to, and we're a TV show, like some kind of reality show or some shit. Who knows? But it's just awkward the way it's in orbit, the way it is, the way it's always changing shape.
But you're making the assumption that the photos that they're showing are this object, and we haven't. I'm not satisfied as we have not established that this is the object they're saying is in the polar orbit.
Well, and not to mention that, but the other thing is there's not a lot of research into it. I mean, NASA's not done anything, or to disprove any of it. Yeah, they've just said, hey, it's
whatever,
it's junk, and
probably a pulsar.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I honestly, I love this subject.
So what's the definition of a pulsar?
A pulsar is a star that is is it pulsar?
Well, we could probably
pulsar is a star that's collapsed and is rotating very quickly, and I think that's why you call it a pulsar, because it gives a pulse.
Let's do this, and then let's do this. And definition of pulsar. That should get us closer.
Wikipedia.
So that's what it says. It's a celestial object, obviously. Right?
A rapidly rotating neutron star. Yep.
And it has electromagnetic radiation at rates of up to 1,000 pulses per second. So that's where they're saying, okay, this thing is, hence the name the pulsar, right? And this thing was pulsing, and they assumed it was some sort of radio signal. And I can understand how if you're trying to pick this up, that a pulsar could come across, but if you can now develop enough of a unique pattern in there to decipher a message out of it, I think for a future episode we need to dig into the research of that dude that later retracted this message that we received, and because there's I say this a lot, there's so many more questions and answers when you start digging into this stuff, and right now, there's nobody trying to find the answers. We're doing our best to share the craziness of the world we live in.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't even know how we would begin to
we got to leave that up to the damn government, and they don't want to go up there and say, there is alien debris or an alien satellite or anything else.
So you're gonna.
It's the last thing they want to tell us.
So you're gonna go and let the wolf guard the sheep for you, kind of thing.
They trust it.
Yeah.
So
damn wolves.
Yeah, and NASA. What I find compelling is that it was. I think it was at '93 or something. It was in the '90s at some time. They came out again with an official potential explanation for the Black Knight satellite. So what this tells me is that this gains traction over time, and then it spurs NASA to make a comment. Nothing to see here, folks. It's just a solar sail, So if we really were discussing something so crazy, because there's people out there talking about unicorns and stuff, and
it's in the Bible.
Leprechauns.
Dusty. Okay, we'll stick with unicorns.
I mentioned leprechauns once, and I'm chastised.
We can throw leprechauns into this because the government isn't periodically releasing statements about, there's no leprechauns or unicorns. It's just misidentified horses and little people. But they feel compelled.
I'll be honest about this. This is really the first I've heard about it. You told me this a few weeks ago to look at it, and I did, and maybe it was because that I was more into something more tangible than a satellite. That's really why I didn't have a drive to look for it. But yeah, there is something to it.
Yeah, and it just to keep thinking about and asking the questions, and hopefully something will come up. I mean, right now, it's it's in a perfect position because there's 10,000 plus satellites rotating the Earth. So how would us, even as amateur astronomers with good equipment, even begin to pick out the one
that's crazy
to look at, you know?
And then they're so small that like,
Yeah. I mean, they can.
it's like a fly in a vast fucking room. Even.
Yeah. Try to get a pair of binoculars and follow a fruit fly around the room. So anyway, that's what I had on the Black Knight. Who'd like to Black Knight? Who'd like to go next?
I can go next.
Awesome.
Dan O'Can.
I was gonna talk about. There's this guy. God, what the fuck was his name? Actually,
No.
I don't think this was the guy that caught it, but this Joe Escamilla. Oh, Jose Escamilla.
Damn you, Jose. Joe with an.
He put together the documentary or whatever. But anyway, I saw this a long time ago. I think it was back in like 2007 or something like that. This amateur guy with a telescope like zoomed in on these stars. It doesn't show it in this video, but like the older one I saw, like he started way back and he zoomed in on a star, and then you can see that it's like a spaceship, like landing whatever. I'll show the video here. They're really close up on it here.
Ever since I got involved with John Leonard Wilson, I always now look at the Big Dipper in a totally different way. I can't wait to have people all over the world seeing them. The great thing about the Interstellar Starships is we know where they are.
There's one in the Big Dipper?
Sounds like it.
One of the scientists said it's the Star Wars project. Okay, if that's the case, where were we when they put these things up there? When one thinks how much one large structure weighs.
You guys know about the Star Wars?
Yeah, from back in
Reagan.
To guard the Earth of any nuclear attack or whatever. So they sent stuff up into outer space to be able to protect against that.
It's inconceivable how we got it into deep space. The machinery it would take to construct these things is no less conceivable. And the fact that they can expand and transform into different shapes in deep space is extraordinary. There are questions I have. If they are man-made, then we must have technologies that are way beyond our comprehension. What kind of energy systems are being applied here? This is one big puzzle that has yet to be solved, or at the very least, acknowledged.
That looks like a space station. And
Like that? Like shit hanging down? Yeah.
I'd like to know the magnification we're looking at.
Actually, I have a bit of an issue with this already.
A couple of the photos are a little more compelling than others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously this is in space, so it's like, well, what the hell is it?
You know, I'm having difficulty on some of the images seeing a solid object versus some sort of light or energy anomaly, but a couple of them look fairly good.
Yeah.
And look at that, and as you zoom out, you would looking up at the sky, you'd never know.
Yeah, like I said, they didn't show it, they cut it out of here, but the earlier ones when I was looking back in 2007, they started way back. You see all the stars in the sky, zoomed right up in on it, you can tell it's a
It makes you want to buy a telescope, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pulsing like that?
And that could be just through the atmosphere, like a star twinkling.
As John Leonard Wilson follows them with his telescope,
Could be a
they are in
solid
perfect
light.
sync with the Earth's orbit, posing as a star in Orion's belt, the Big Dipper, Vega, or in other constellations. This means that perhaps if one structure is 2.5 light years away, it may be orbiting around Earth at millions of miles per hour. With those kinds of velocities, and with the capability of being able to effortlessly change and transform, it takes an enormous amount of energy. What kind of alloys are they made of that allows them to transform and retract at these velocities in deep space?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we could- Why transform?
You can constantly tell he's repositioning.
Look at
the
that.
scope, too.
Yeah.
Sorry for the scary music.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy.
I was just
I
dreaming
was-
about that too.
No, come on.
Yeah, it's like, well, what the fuck is that? It's not a ship. What the fuck is this?
It has taken us at least 10 years for the United States, with the help of Russia and other countries, to construct the space station.
Okay.
And when you look at these huge structures that are in deep space, you just have to wonder, what are these things? Who inhabits them? There are rumors about secret projects where men and women have been sent into outer space as an exchange program. You need to think about this. We have wars going on right now here on Earth. Our planet is in turmoil. People of the Earth have no concept as to what reality is anymore. We are too busy fighting terrorists, too busy looking out for human enemies. Something more sinister awaiting our planet. Are we under observation and under close scrutiny? We don't know what we are about to learn about the interstellar communities that are obviously among us, orbiting our planet in our immediate solar system. For the moment, we have barely tipped the iceberg.
I'll stop it there.
Why the hell are we not pointing every goddamn telescope on the planet at these things?
Well, we probably, the secret government
Yeah,
probably is.
yeah, right.
I have an issue with this. I really do.
All right.
And like what Pete said, stars twinkle because of the light in the atmosphere, the way it comes, it hits and bounces off of the atmosphere, the moisture, the dust content, clouds, and anything else. And what he's done is he's taken a telescope and he's zoomed way in. And as guys that work with cameras quite a bit, if you zoom way in, you get this blurry image. And I mean, you got a blurry image and lights bending around everything and all this other stuff, and you get this squiggly. I mean, I'm sure we could probably do it by zooming into a pen light or something. You're not gonna have a point anymore.
Right.
You're gonna get something else.
Correct.
And I'll be honest, if it's a great huge ship, right? And if you have a telescope, you want to look at the space station in space. You're gonna see a very bright light, and then you go ahead and you use a telescope, and it looks like a bus. I mean, from what I've seen with the telescope that I was using, a buddy of mine, it just looked like a vehicle. But what's bright isn't that it's lit up; it's that it's reflecting the light from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're saying that these are acting as stars. Well, then that means there's no star there, so there's no light reflecting. So that would have to be generating its own light.
Yep.
And not to mention, it takes that light from that star.
2.5 years, because they said 2.5 light years. They
So
say
2.5 years, and then they don't move. I mean, I'm having a hard issue with this one. Because I'd love to say that there's something out there that big that I could go up and look at. Because I mean, I'd be
What
thrilled.
about it
but,
transforming?
you know, that again, light having to bend and having to come through the atmosphere and everything else. I mean, you're going to have, and then if he's repositioning, you're getting a different kind of view on that light. So it's going to change and move. I mean, we could do the same with the squiggly in your eye, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You got that same issue. You have that the telescope's not supposed to do that. And I had, I was watching a video on Area 51, and he uses a telescope because they extended that so you can't be close enough to Area 51
Yeah.
to use it. So he's using this telescope to be seen in space, and he's zooming as close as he can to Area 51 to capture pictures, and you get buildings that look like they have two buildings, like that mirage type look, because he's using something that's for something that's not intended to. So I mean, I'm kind of thinking, and I wish to God this was true, and there's huge, like capital ships from Star Wars up there. I'd be fucking thrilled.
What?
Well, the thing is, it could be true.
Well, why would they be so damn bright, and why would they have to pose as a star? Your best option if
They're
you're trying to
not posing
watch.
as a star. It looks like a star from that far away.
But even then, if you're watching somebody and you don't want to be seen, because apparently you don't want to be seen because they ain't over here.
But they're
You'd
2.5
be blacked
million
out.
light years out. Who's gonna do anything?
I'd be blacked out. That's the biggest thing that we have to worry about in space is asteroids that don't reflect light that are coming towards the Earth and these types of things. It's the thing that's dark. that scares you. That's the people that are menacing, or the things that are menacing.
As I kind of mentioned when the video was going on, there were more compelling photos in there than others.
True, very true.
And there was that one that looked to me like it was a gray object, and it had the tube going up the side and a big.
Oh yeah.
I was some of the other ones I would be willing to concede that they could be quasars or other galaxies or something like that. But there were a couple in there that we watched that we saw. I'm not so easily convinced that's the case.
I just can't do this one.
Well,
If you can't do it,
you
there's
reserve
no way.
the right to be wrong anytime you'd like.
Exactly.
So.
And I don't mind being wrong. I'd rather be disproven every time on this show because it's hard for me to believe certain things.
Yeah.
And I'd love it to be real.
I will say, tomorrow and the weeks ensue, I will be personally doing a lot more personal research and investigation on this because this is the first time I've ever heard that, and so I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, we've got these things out there, but it's really very interesting.
Yeah, like I said, though, it shows them close right away, but that one video, like I said, from 2007 when I saw it, it's like it was so dramatic where you saw it way back here and it just zoomed in on it.
Yep.
Holy shit.
And the geometric shapes, the hard edges that you can see on some of those right angles and stuff.
Yeah.
Things like that, they do occur in nature, but not that often, especially on a scale like that. I mean, when was the last time you saw a picture of a square whatever
Tree leaf?
out from outer space,
Right.
Well,
So
nature
square
doesn't make
pla-
straight angles and straight lines. It's that's
Well,
just something that if you're looking for something that's not
Very
made by
rare.
nature,
Yeah,
you won't
very
find it in
rare.
straight
Only when
lines.
rocks fall down on the moon, though.
That's true. All right. Well, I'm covering.
It's a story for another time.
It is.
I apologize.
I know because
Dustin.
we can get off subject so easy on this. Today I'm going to cover the NASA spots intriguing pyramid on dwarf planet Ceres. Ceres.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is like right out
Yep.
of the news,
Happening
recent
now.
stuff. If you have not heard about the satellite going to Ceres,
Yeah.
get out from under the goddamn rock you've been under, man,
For-
because this
Well, I
is
never heard
awesome
about it.
stuff.
You've been watching too much Kim Kardashian shit.
Yeah, it's on the
Jeez.
top of my list.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, so I apologize. No offense made, but we'll get you out from that under that rock right now.
So anyway, the Dawn spacecraft is flying towards Ceres right now. This is a dwarf planet in our asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It's a very large piece. It's one of what they're shooting, or what they're going there to see, is that we've seen some really bright spots in these craters, and it's also a dwarf planet. So we're wondering, they're hoping to answer questions like how does a dwarf planet become a planet? Why didn't it have enough gravitational pull to pull things into it and whatnot? So
It lies in between Mars and Jupiter.
yep, so it's actually really close. So anyway, we have an unusual pointed mountain jutting from the otherwise smooth stretch of landscape, estimated to be around 3 miles tall. And I'm taking this from reading directly from the Wired article. Now I don't believe it's a pyramid right now. It'll be closer within the next couple months because it's going to orbit where it's at now, and then it's going to get a bit closer. But as you can tell in this photo right here, that's a really, really bright spot, and that's supposed to be the tip of the pyramid-shaped mountain or pyramid, however you want to say it.
This is what the news had been reporting on. They were honing in on this weird bright spot.
Yeah,
This is in the last few months.
And NASA scientists believe that the spots are caused by highly reflective materials such as salt deposits or ice. And that may be so. I have a little bit of an issue with that.
Is it being right in the dead center
Yeah,
of that crater?
You're right in the
That's
dead
a hell
center
of
of
a
this. Yeah,
coincidence.
and it's that would mean that if this is ice or salt, then there would be no more ice or salt anywhere else.
around.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a
what the
little
fuck?
smidge off to the right,
Yeah.
in that photo there.
That's all I have.
But they said it was, 2,000 feet tall or what was it?
like 3 miles
3
tall.
miles tall.
Maybe if
so
it's that high, you're in
15,000.
a colder atmosphere.
That could be. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I don't think there's any anything
But
geological
yeah,
going
why
on
don't there be
here
any
either.
other thing or, something else around it? Well, there's a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like I think there's only 2 spots on the whole damn dwarf planet that are like this, or just this one. So, I mean, that's really unique in the whole size of the planet. So, I like this because I was reading an article, and That's all I got to think on that. Yep. So I'll leave it kind of there so we kind of look at it. And there's another reflector spot, and the kind of, I don't think that one's it, but. And then, of course, that brings me to the other article that I've brought with me, which is the pyramid on the moon. Now, I didn't give much pyramids and whatnot. I do a lot of research on that. And I'm the skeptic kind of type. I want that solid evidence. But this photograph is supposedly the last photograph that they took on, which Apollo mission was this? I forgot now.
It said in the article.
You know, when you guys first
Apollo
brought
17.
that photo up, I thought it was nothing there, but now I'm really looking at it, I can see the pyramid now.
So this is Apollo 17. This is the last photograph. Now, this is the last photograph on the reel from what I've read, and all of them are clear as day. And when they released them, they were nice, they were pretty, and everything else. And then they released this one, and it's the only fuzzy, gray, fucked up one. And the reason they say that is because after doing some research behind this person here, I think this is a person or something, but here you can almost see the faint outline of a pyramid. Now, I've done a lot of research on this. Pyramids on the moon, pyramids on Mars, pyramids everywhere you can possibly imagine. And I'll tell you here in a second why I give this a little bit of credence. Now, this is some rendering. They've kind of gone in there and they've, enhanced
adjusted contrasts and stuff.
Enhanced the version.
And notice in that picture, there looks to be another object, almost like rectangular, that goes up
right
next
here.
to it. Yeah, and it's wide like an obelisk or something.
And
Maybe
then
we'll see
this
it better
one
at the next
again.
one. Not so much.
Yeah, I think that was the picture correction.
So, the reason I find this interesting is I was reading an article about how you would inhabit or find intelligent life in space. It makes no sense to board an arc ship or any type of ship and then go out, because you would have to spend generations, if your lifetime is between 100 years or so, generations just to get somewhere. It doesn't make sense. And a species that's intelligent enough to be spacefaring would also be intelligent enough to have satellites just like we do and robots just like we do, but more advanced, right? Mm-hmm. So what you would do is, this is what aliens should be doing, is what you would do is you would create nanobots or robots and you send them out. You send 1,000 of these things out, 100,000 of these things out, and they would go everywhere. And they would travel to the nearest star systems and then so on and so forth, leapfrogging forward, and then they would find a moon, asteroid, or planet or some sort. They would land on it, and then they would wait. They'd wait for radio signals, or they'd wait for a pulse of say there is light speed of that type of thing, and then they would come on. So it'd be like a standby type thing. So pyramids have always been, they're all over the world, and everybody's.
They're finding new ones, even. Yeah.
I mean, they're in Italy, they're in China, they're in Russia. I mean,
South America.
They're even in Wisconsin. From an article I started to read the other day, and I thought that was pretty interesting. We might have to do a little showdown there if I can find it. So these pyramids that are everywhere. Every civilization that's ever built a pyramid, the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Chinese, have all been technologically further along than everywhere else at that point in time, which is always interesting too. And then, of course, when it comes to pyramids, I mean, as we can plainly tell behind us here, there's one there. So we are right now currently speaking to aliens.
There's a UFO right there.
Yeah. Oh, we got it all. So what I like about it is the idea that the pyramid has been revered and used as a symbol for worshiping aliens or other life. And then on top of that, if there was satellites that was building some kind of thing to wait or anything else, the pyramid is pretty simple.
That's one of my biggest questions is like you said, anywhere you look, like Earth, Moon, and Mars, why is there pyramids? Why do those keep coming up?
Yeah.
Why is the pyramid significant? You just made a comment that, the pyramids are pretty simple. Not any simpler than putting a pile of fucking rocks in a pile, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or digging, why weren't they digging holes and worship, or something like that? I think it's interesting that the pyramid is a choice. And what I also find interesting is the choice of words on your original article about Ceres. Mm-hmm. They didn't say it was a structure. They used the specific word pyramid. NASA used the specific word pyramid. Okay, a volcanic eruption. The volcano, we don't call those pyramids. A pyramid is a very specific type of structure.
Yeah,
four-sided, coming down at the bottom. And joining at a point. They could have said use any other word besides pyramid, but they said pyramid. I find that interesting coming from NASA that they
They use
is it a
that.
slip up, or do they not think that through? Why, because what were they going to think when they released that pyramids, were found on
another
Ceres?
place,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. I mean, what the hell are they going to think folks like us are going to talk about?
Yeah.
There's only one issue I have with all my research on pyramids, and I like the subject, I really do. I mean, like, I could go on for days about the Egyptian pyramids anyway, just all the shit I've read. There's only one issue. I saw an article about pyramids in our Antarctica, and this really grasped my interest too, because this is right after actually I read about the no ice in Antarctica. I read that article. So I'm reading, and I was like, holy shit, this is mind-blowing. And I saw the picture, and it looked really good. But here's the thing. Just like the rabbit on Mars and the face on Mars and these pyramids that we're seeing.
A rabbit on Mars?
Yeah, it's another...
Okay,
we'll
yeah,
do that.
Is that a statue?
It's... I don't want to get
Okay,
into
yeah, all right. Yeah.
But here's the thing
All
is...
right, I'm going to check that one out.
We're humans, and humans naturally, and you, me, and everybody in this room, and everybody everywhere. When we see something, our brains are made, and what it does is it triggers, and we think about what it looks like, so we can make a correlation. So if
Right.
I see a rock on Mars, and it has something like this, you might automatically assume that that's that rabbit type look. It's like, oh, it's a bunny. So that's how you got that rabbit on Mars, because you're like, that looks like a rabbit. That's a rabbit, because that's how the brain works.
You fit it into something you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you have these like the face on Mars and the pyramids everywhere, if you see a straight line or what even resembles a straight line at a certain angle, you might automatically, and this is just the way the brain works, you might automatically assume, bam, that's a pyramid. And because of that, I can see why NASA might says intriguing pyramid, because it looks a lot like a pyramid. But then again, we might get closer in the coming months, and it just might be a pile of rock and then some dinosaur from the ancient days shat on the damn thing or something. I mean, I really don't know.
We made a comment earlier about how it's right in the middle of that crater, and maybe it could potentially be leftover ice from, let's say, a comet impacted it and left like
Definitely so.
a 3 mile tall
Mountain with ice on it.
or so,
Well, and that being
I'm
said,
very
if the
interested.
asteroid went down there and it impacted, and it turned it molten, and then you have that impact, and then it comes back, kind of like a water drop would.
Oh, okay.
Then you would have, and
then
it's
it's
cold
solidified out,
space.
yeah.
I mean, I could see that maybe happening, but resolved.
Yeah, this is back at the beginning of June. This person sees a moon buggy missing one wheel
Moon buggy.
and a
a
recharging
recharging
fembot.
fembot.
Come on, this is a
This is a
satirical
joke.
article. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute, it's on CNN. What the
This
hell?
must be a fake site.
No, that's.
It's CNN.
Is it locked? I want to say this is a
It's
locked.
report.cnn.com.
Well, let's see what the Onion weighs in on this.
No, that was one of the comments.
Yeah, oh, okay. That was one of the-
He left a comment here that said, "Resolved serious price plus."
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. Plus, not to mention the reason I really brought it up. Like I said, I can go on pyramids all damn day long, but is that the satellites actually going to get closer and closer in the coming
we're,
months.
we're only going to get better photos if they choose
Exactly.
to share them. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
stay tuned, because this is just starting. This
All
is
right.
like we're
We
on.
got the airbrushes ready though.
Yeah.
I'm hoping in the next couple of months, we'll do another episode where we revisit this, and maybe we'll have some more definitive type of answer.
Yeah.
Or maybe it'll be blacked out, and then we can talk about how the little bastards went ahead and scrapped the. It'll all be blurry, just like the moon one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting though to see if suddenly the shots, the pictures that they're sharing, get less resolution. They don't start. They stop showing like bigger photos of the planet. That,
Yeah.
and see if that sort of stuff dries up.
Maybe we can prove them wrong finally and say, you've been covering shit up, NASA, we know.
Oh, that's been done and over with.
Yeah, I mean we
As
know
long as
that.
we're good
NASA
assassinated.
stands for
What?
never a straight answer.
Oh, nice.
I have the NASA channel on my TV, and I was watching it the other day, and I was like, this is cool if an alien UFO or something would drive by, and as soon as I thought of it, it was like, boom, we're going to something else. Like, maybe I shouldn't think these things. And I put on my foil cap and laid back down.
So you were manifesting
So-
them right in the spot.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but I gotta see this. Where's my tinfoil cap? They're eating my brain again.
Yeah, it should bring you out to our UFO
Yeah.
encounters.
I'm just, and you have the Bigfoot encounter thing.
Well, I enjoy that
It's
subject
field work.
as well.
It's
yeah.
got to be done.
I'll do the field work and I'll be happy to do it. I just don't know how happy y'all will be with me when I'm like, Jesus, are we seriously? That's a rabbit. Then again, I'll probably be the one scared
Well-
shitless, start shooting into the forest and shit.
Oh, great! Yeah, awesome. So
Is that the Sasquatch? Bam, bam, bam. If it is, Smithsonian can pick up his dead ass body.
And then all of a sudden the government comes in, exchanges it with a rubber suit.
yeah.
That's bullshit, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not sure where the hell all that came from.
I was happy about it though.
Yeah, right on. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our episode of Talk is Cheap for this evening. I hope you all had a wonderful time. And good night, planet Earth and beyond.
That's not good.
Why is it
Does
the
it-
conspiracy
does it
show is the one that keeps on getting up?
See, the PC fucking took a shit. Again.
Did it
Planet Mac,
overheat?
this wouldn't happen.
Oh my god!
That was weird.
Son of a bitch.
Social Fix never has these issues. So I'm wondering if,
It's the same computer.
the government's knowing that when
government.
we're hovering, and their government's they're droning right outside watching in. We'll put it in to these
Sometimes
motherfuckers.
truth is stranger than fiction. Was that intro all right?